And now the child grows up. He becomes 20 years old, and he's following the same pattern like the first guy did. And then one night he goes to the thing, and one night someone takes the money and kills him. Who kills him? The original boy who was murdered. He wakes up and he writes them the whole story on a piece of paper and sends it to him. He says, God is just. You should know that exact judgment at the exact place that it occurred years ago.
This is it.
It is exact.
Sure.
So sometimes when we get a business loss or something like that, there's a reason why. Hashem is using midat adin. It's exact. Not here, not there. Everything is exact. Okay. So, last point of this first chapter. This is all in the first chapter. I think. It's all in the first chapter. So we spoke about last week of milchama. We said there's a war going on, right? A person's in constant milchama. Look, let's analyze the word milchama. Milchama is spelled mem lamed chet mem hey milchama. If you take the word milchama, separate it, you have two words. Lechem, which means bread, and ma, which means what. So what does that mean? So we know lechem refers to physical food. Okay? We know that a person who indulges in physicality, the more he indulges in physicality, the more he becomes ego and less becomes God. So if you look at it on a scale, we would call it ego versus ma. Ma means who am I? Ma. Ma anachnu, ma hayenu, ma tzikotenu, ma. What are we? Moshe Rabbeinu, he told the Jews, ma anachnu. What do you want from us? We're humble, humility. So ma is humility. So if we were going to refine our scales, we have on one end of the scale we have me, and on the other side of the scale we have ma, me and ma, right? So when the me goes up, the ma goes down. Okay. So lechem on one hand is bread. It's talking about physicality, right? How do you produce bread? Right? There's a famous story of a person. He never was on a farm, so he goes to the farm and he sees the farmer working hard to dig the ground. He says, wow! Finally, he puts some seeds in the ground, and he sees, wow, okay, so we be a plant. And all of a sudden, he sees now the farmer breaking all the seeds. Wait, what are you doing? Shugah! You didn't work so hard to fertilize the land, and you're breaking it again? Okay. Then all of a sudden, he sees stalks starting to come up, and again he sees him chopping them down. What are you doing? It took so long for the stalks to grow, and now you're chopping them. Anyway, long story short, he keeps seeing that the procedure, something grows, something goes down. Finally, he sees a loaf of bread. He brings a loaf of bread to the boys. Wow, eat. He says, wow, it's a great loaf. Where did it come from? He said it came from the ground. He said, really? Where? Where did you plant it? He says, all the time that you saw me planting and cutting and dropping and crushing and that was the procedure to bring the bread. Now you see this bread, but you didn't see behind the background was a lot of procedure. This is the way God runs the world. Sometimes we see the bread. We say, oh, the bread came. She says, where did the bread come from? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Really? When did lechem come out from the haaretz? It doesn't come just from the haaretz. It's a whole procedure. Right? So that's the way that God runs that procedure. The idea is that everything that physicality is, there's a reason behind it. There's a procedure behind it. A person doesn't go increase his money for no reason or decrease his money, God forbid, for no reason. There's a reason behind it. It's to make him better. It's to what? Free mitzvot. It's whatever the reason may be. And you should also know the word ma has numerical value of 45, which is the same numerical value as the word Adam. Adam. And what are we trying to get to be? Adam Shalem. An Adam. Adam. So we're trying to go from an animal to an Adam. Right? We started out as an animal. Ego, me. And we want to get to what? Ma. Which is Adam. That's why the word milchama has the word lechem, which represents the physicality and the bunny and it gets all the way to ma. What's ma? Ma is the ability of humility. This is the Holy Sammy? Right there. That's it. Anyway, so
How are you doing? Nice to see you.
So the idea of milchama, right, has on one end of the spectrum it's lechem, right, which is physicality, which is the work, I did it, I made it, right? That's the way the farmer feels after he cultivated the land. But then on the other hand, there's ma, right? Me and ma. Me is I, and ma is what are you? What did you do? Right? And that's why he said ma is the numerical value of Adam, 45. Why? Because that's what a real Adam is. Again, going back to, if we're going to summarize all we said tonight, the reason Hashem creates the mitzvot, right, is for what? Is for a person to cure his ego. We have 613 mitzvot, it's 613 cures for the ego. Every mitzvah cures a different aspect of the ego. Some parts of the ego create haughtiness, some parts of the ego create anger, some parts of the ego create laughter, excessive laughter, some parts of the ego create ta'ava, lusts. Every part of the ego has to be cured and cultivated. So how do you do that? You have mitzvot, right? Those are the cures, right? So, like we said before, every time that a person is not getting closer to God, he's actually getting farther from God. Because what's happening? If you leave the me unchecked, if you're not following where's the ego going, I'll tell you a secret, it's going up. This is the idea of lechem. Lechem, what's the difference between lechem and matzah? Matzah, it's the same ingredients, flour and water. But what happens with lechem, and this is why you use it again, milchama, it has the word lechem in it. Lechem, you beat it, and then you leave it on the side, and it rises and rises and rises. Matzah never gets a chance to rise, because you're constantly working it. That's why the people who are making the matzah, constantly, don't leave it for one moment. Because if you leave it for a moment, it's going to start rising. Chametz, no good. Matzah is humility. That's why if you look at the idea of matzah, right, you have, what letters do you have in matzah? Mem and the hey. Again, the ma. Then you have a tzadi in the middle, tzaddik. Because that's the ability of a righteous person is to become a matzah. How does he do it? He has to constantly work. If he leaves a moment, the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, is waiting for that. He loves it. He says, maybe take a day off. Right? With the famous story with the Gra, right? The Satan comes to him and says, hey, old man, it's cold outside. Poland, what are you doing? Go to sleep a little bit. 5 more minutes. He says, I'm an old man. He says, you're older than me. You go to sleep. Right? The Yetzer Hara from the back. Right? He's created a long time ago. Right? And this is what the Ben Ish Chai writes in Halachot. Haba lehargecha, hashkem lehorgo. If a person comes to kill you, the halacha says, you should rise to kill him. He says, what is that referring to? The Yetzer Hara. Don't let him wake you up. Because if he's waking you up, you know it's already late in the day. It's already late in the day. He already got you. Once you give him a foot in the door, that's it. He's in there. He's conquering the place. It's like the famous funny story of a guy who wants to buy a house for cheap. So what does he do? Right? Everyone knows the story. He knocks on this door. Excuse me. Yes. I wanted to tell you that I grew up in this house and I would like to purchase it from you. I have a family here and everything's great and I'm not selling it. So he says, come on, please, $1 million. We're not selling this house. I'm sorry. Our children are here. Okay. Next day, knocks on the door. He says, listen, can I buy a room for $500,000? I'm not selling you a room. Long story short, he gets him down to. He says, can I buy a nail on your wall in your living room? $200,000. $200,000 for a nail on the. Okay, that's a good deal. Hold on. Let me go ask my wife. He said, "That's what. I want a nail on the wall for $200,000. Deal. What's $200,000? Okay, that night, knocks on the door. Says, okay, can I hang up a picture on my nail? Buddy, it's in the middle of the night. I own the nail, don't I? Okay. Again, make a long story short, he continuously does that. He hangs profane pictures on the wall. Anyway, at the end of the day, he drives them insane. They say, you know what? Take the house, take everything. We're getting out of here. So he calls up his friends and says, buddy, I just bought a $700,000 house for $200,000. The idea is you let him get him a nail on the wall, he's already inside the house. So that's why it says, Hamarchikim, anything in physicality that is going to be used not for a relationship purpose with Hashem. So, for example, that when a person eats a meal, if the purpose of the meal is not to go make a Birkat Hamazon, what's going to be the end of the result of the meal? You're going to fall asleep. In Birkat Hamazon, it's going to look like this. And that's it. Yeah. And that's going to be the end of the Birkat Hamazon. Because what was the purpose of the meal? To satiate his me. Yep. And went down the ma.
Yeah.
But if the ma is on a higher level, he'll say, wait a minute, why am I eating? So I can say my Birkat Hamazon. So he's going to make sure that I have to eat, but I'm going to eat normally. So with that, we'll end the class. So we finished chapter 1.
Yeah,
We don't- I don't know,
Yeah, man.